Hello world! Welcome to Learning Java, one byte at a time. This is video 33 in a tutorial series geared at bringing the wonderful wide world of Java to those with little or no programming experience. This video is a continuation of the development of the Booker application, a vehicle appraisal app. In the last video, we finished writing the populate advertisement class, which uses a parse advertisement method. This method accepts a blank advertisement template, a vehicle object, and also a final appraisal value. And through the magic of the method, systematically goes through and strips the vehicle object of its properties. It parses those properties into the blank sales advertisement template, attaches a final price at the end, and then returns to us a string, which is a beautiful custom-created sales ad for the vehicle in question. And so in order to test that in this video, we need to jump into Notepad++, and one of the first things I want to bring to your attention is that in the advertisement text file, you see I've added some content. I have now 3 separate sales ad templates, one for the utility class, one for the sports class, and one for the luxury class. And while all of these sales ad templates do in fact have the placeholders for the vehicle attributes, they're all worded a little bit different based on the class of the vehicle. So we do in fact want to have slightly different wording based on whether it's utility, sports, or luxury, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. But they do all have the bracketed class names that represent the attributes of the vehicle, and so they should all be parsed correctly. And through the magic of the method, we've also ensured that whether or not these are in the same order, it does a search and replace, so it doesn't really matter if they're in the same order. It's still going to replace them correctly and return that perfect tailored sales ad. And so the other thing I want to point out is that I have each sales ad on its own individual line. And so even though it does, of course, run off the page, if you notice, each particular one is on its own line, and the reason being is that due to the nature of the class that we've written, it's only stripping away each individual line and returning that as the template. We could have put some line breaks in here, and we could have had the class look for those line breaks as delimiters and written in some logic to just concatenate those into one single string. But just for simplicity, I did go ahead and make these all on their own lines. But just so that you know, that is possible to have this in a more readable format. However, this text file is not necessarily intended to be read on its own or read on its own, and so just for simplicity, we've written it this way. So we do have the advertisement text file with all 3 of the sales ad templates now. And now in the test file, we'll go ahead and begin to write the testing class. And so for the tester, we need to, of course, have we'll need to have a vehicle, we'll need to have an appraisal value, and then we'll make an advertisement object that we'll then use to call the method getAdvertisementContent, and we'll print that to the screen. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, include it in the correct package. And then we'll go ahead and make our class public. We'll call it test. And in this class, we'll have a private static vehicle that we'll call vehicle. We'll have a private static double that will be our appraisal price. And we'll have a private static advertisement object that we'll simply call advertisement. Then we can declare our main method. And in the main method, let's go ahead and define our vehicle object. So we'll use the new constructor keyword, and we'll set it equal to a new vehicle, and we'll need to pass through some arguments. And so we'll name it. I'm going to name this one Beatrice. This one is going to be a Mazda Miata. It's going to have a base price of $50,000. And it will be a 2008 manual transmission, front-wheel drive, and we'll set airbags equal to true, ABS equal to true, rear view camera equal to false. This is going to be a performance model. and it's going to have, let's say, 80,000 miles on it. Two previous owners. It will have luxury features are going to be, if I can remember the luxury features, that's going to be keyless entry is true. We'll do, let's say, premium sound is equal to false. And we'll say, let's see, GPS is equal to false. This class is going to be sports class. And so this is going to be the criteria in which the advertisement factory searches to the sports advertisement class and returns that particular sales content. So that's going to be the second line of the template in the advertisement text file. And then we're going to have no accident history. And then we'll say that the commission on this is going to be 7%, like so. So that should be good for our vehicle object. Next, we're going to need to define our appraisal value, and we're still having to set the appraisal manually because we have not yet written the Blue Book calculator, but in the next video or so, we'll have that written, and then we'll actually use the Blue Book calculator class to return an appraisal value based on the properties of the car. That will be coming up shortly. But in the meantime, we'll set the appraisal of this of $75,000. Now we need to define our advertisement object, and that's going to be equal to the advertisement factory, and we're going to call the method getAdvertisement. We're going to pass through the vehicle, the appraisal, and then that will use the class of the vehicle, which is sports, to actually instantiate the sport advertisement class. The sport advertisement class will then, of course, return to us that template, and then it will use the the populate advertisement class, which has the parsing advertisement method, to populate the advertisement with all of the attributes of the vehicle and return that to us in the form of an advertisement object. However, we can't do much with the advertisement object by itself, so we have to actually call the method of the advertisement object called getAdvertisementContent. That's going to be the thing that returns the string to us, which is going to be the final sales ad. So let's go ahead and do a system.out.println, because we want to display it to the console. And that's going to be the advertisement.getAdvertisementContent, like so. All right, this should be all we need for our testing class. So we'll go ahead and save this. Now, the thing I do want to point out, though, is that in testing this before making this video, I did notice several errors. But rather than having just gone through to fix them, I'm going to leave the errors there because I want them to show up when it tries to compile, and I want to go ahead and fix them together. This code is, of course, all accessible on the GitHub link, and so if you want to download the final version, that's something that you're free to do, of course. But since we were writing this side by side, it's very likely that the errors were also written on your end, and so I want to make sure that we go through and fix those together so that the code that you have is going to be fully functional. So let's go ahead and let these errors occur. We've saved our testing class. Let's jump into our console, and let's attempt to compile this. So we're going to javac-d.star.java, and of course you're going to notice several errors popping up here, several compilation errors. So the first one we have here is under the populate advertisement class on line 5, it was expecting a parentheses. And so if we jump over to the populate advertisement class, line 25, you'll notice that because of there being so many embedded arguments here, we have a parenthesis here that doesn't have a closing parentheses. And so we have an open, 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 close, close. There's an open with a close, so we were missing a closing parenthesis right here. And so you can see that Notepad++ is actually really good about showing how it highlights it in red. And we can correlate that to this one over here, which is also highlighted in red. So that takes care of that single error, but let's go ahead and try to compile this again. All right, so now we have just a host of errors right here. So let's start at the top. So if we see here, luxury advertisement in line 12, cannot find symbol, string template advertisement dot get number 2. And so that's very interesting. So if we jump over here into the luxury advertisement, So the error that I made here, and if of course you were typing along side by side, you would have made the same error, or if you were very sharp, you might have caught it and corrected it yourself. So what we have here is an array list of strings that we're calling template advertisement file, and we're loading it with the data access object. Then over here we have a string declaration called template advertisement, and what we should have done is set it equal to the template advertisement file of the second index, but we've only set it equal to itself at the second index. And so we've forgotten to include the file. So all we were doing was setting it equal to itself. What we should have been doing is set it equal to this template advertisement file.array. And so it threw the error because it was not an array, it's a string. And so it had nothing there to get. And so knowing that that's an error in the luxury, it's also, as you can imagine, likely an error in the utility and the sports. So let's go ahead and save that here. We'll jump over to utility add, and we will make sure to include the rest of the file name there. And then in the sports add, we will make sure to include it there as well. So that will take care of those three errors, and that was an oversight on my part. I apologize for that. We'll jump back in here. We'll attempt to recompile this one more time. And now we've got it down to only 5 errors. That's good. So the next one we have here is going to be under populate advertisement, line 25. Previous owners, it says cannot find symbol and is pointing to, it's a little difficult to see here. Might try to minimize this to make it all show up on one line. No, it's not going to do that. So it's the string value of vehicle.getVehicle previous owners. And so the error that we made right here is that we're calling a method, but we haven't included the 2 parentheses to show that it is a method. So we'll jump back over here to line 25 in the populate advertisement. String.value of vehicle.getVehicle previous owners. And of course, right here we should have had the 2 parentheses to show that this is a method. So we'll save that. Now, let's see if we recompile this one more time. It should be down to just a couple of errors here. We have 4 errors now. So now these last 4 errors are all of the same nature, so this should be a pretty easy fix. So what we've done here is on line 26, 27, 28, and 29 of the populate advertisement class, we have here that it cannot find the symbol vehicle.isKeylessEntry. So this was a method of the vehicle class that should have returned a Boolean value, true or false, of whether or not it was keyless entry. The mistake that I made here is that the method is not called isKeylessEntry. The method is called isVehicleKeylessEntry. And that's going to be the same for this one, as well as this one, as well as this one. So we need to make sure that, of course, the method signatures match, and in this case it didn't. So there is actually no method called isKeylessEntry. So we'll jump back in here to Notepad++ and we'll make that correction. So rather than isKeylessEntry on line 26, it is isVehicleKeylessEntry, is vehicle premium sound, and is vehicle GPS, is vehicle accident history. All right. So that should take care of those last 4 errors. Let's see if that was enough to get this to compile now. So we'll try to compile everything one more time. And it looks like it worked. So let me jump in here to the package directory. We have all of the class files now. And look at this, man, we've done pretty good. We've got the advertisement factory, the DAO, the data store. We have the luxury, sports, and utility advertisement classes. We have the populate advertisement class, and then of course the testing class and our vehicle class. So this should be enough for us to run this. So let's go ahead and Java booker.test. All right, excellent. So meet Beatrice. Feel the wind in your hair as you speed down the highway in this blazing fast 2008 Mazda Miata. Engineered with manual transmission and front-wheel drive, this stunning sports model vehicle is sure to blow you away. Equipped with airbags, ABS, and no rear-view camera, this incredible automobile will go from 0 to 60 in performance-grade time. With a mere 80,000 miles and 2 previous owners, this fantastic model is practically brand new. Fully loaded with keyless entry, no GPS navigation, and no premium sound. With no accident history, this vehicle is priced to sell. Test drive this unbeatable automobile and make it yours today for the low price of $75,001. I'm not really sure where that $1 came from. It might have been a typo on my part, but what I'd like to draw your attention to is, of course, this was the blank sales template that we had in our advertisement text. and it has been fully populated with all of the attributes of the vehicle, which has been using the populate advertisement class, has been properly parsed. And if you notice, it's even gone through and formatted. Let's see, it's got the miles formatted correctly with the comma, and it has the price formatted correctly with the comma. And everything about it looks like it's working correctly. And so what we could do to make sure that this is truly working is we could go in here and quickly change if we jump into the test, we can change the class of the vehicle. And if we change this from sport to, let's say, luxury, even though I know a Mazda Miata is not necessarily luxury, just for the purpose of the test, let's see if this properly pulls up the other sales ad template. So we're going to recompile the test Java. And let's go ahead and run this one more time. And we should, in fact, get a completely different sales template. All right, excellent. So this one, meet Beatrice. As a person with refined taste, this 2008 Mazda Miata is built for you and no other. Flaunt your style while cruising through town with this manual front-wheel drive vehicle. Feel confident with the airbags, ABS, and no rear-view camera without sacrificing speed with the top-notch performance-grade engine. Gently driven with 80,000 miles and only 2 previous owners, this incredible work of art is right off the showroom floor. Treat yourself with keyless entry, no GPS navigation, and no premium sound. With no accident history, you can put your mind at ease knowing this dream machine will never disappoint. You deserve this luxury model today for the low price of $75,001. All right, so everything that we've built so far is working just exactly the way that we want it. Now, you'll notice that we do actually have these attributes as being passed through that says no GPS navigation and no premium sound, and it feels a little silly to be reading that because obviously if those were not features being included, you wouldn't even want them to show up in the sales ad content. And that's something that we could, of course, we could write some more sophisticated code and we can make that so that it doesn't show up. But I think just for the purposes of making this sort of a quicker project and kind of getting to the end of it, we'll kind of just put that on the shelf for now. Maybe as a personal challenge, that could be something that you as a developer try to go through and write that in there. But for the project, we'll go ahead and just leave it in there. It's a little bit funny, but it is what it is. Anyway, so in the next video, we're going to start to write the final classes of this. I believe that in the next video, we will start to write the Blue Book class and probably the price adjuster class, which is what the Blue Book class uses. Anyway, I hope everything in this video was fun and entertaining and educational. Look forward to seeing everyone back in the next video. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night.